our thoughts really matter. And that's where it begins. Like, even with myself, I'm at the gym and I'm like, oh, I could lose 2 more. I'm like, no, every time you think something negative about yourself, say 2 nice things about yourself. Because like dating is tough. It's okay to like have bad dates. You're going to feel down sometimes, but speak kindly to yourself. Tell yourself you deserve love. You're going to find it. Be really like real about what your life is going to look like. Just manifest it.
Welcome to You're Allowed to Hate Your Husband, a modern day love story. I am Remy Stern. I'm a relationship coach, and we are going to talk all things relationships, from being single to dating to being engaged, married. Who you marry is the most important decision you will ever make.
If you're looking for a wife, which is a beautiful thing to do, the best thing to do is to choose wisely.
If you're thinking, what am I doing wrong? Everybody else has it right. Then you are in the right place, because trust me, nobody knows what they're doing. I'm so excited. Please hop right in, listen to this episode, listen to this series, and we are so excited that you are joining us here. I'm so excited for you guys to listen to this episode with Anna Morgenstern. She is an incredible matchmaker based out of New York City, and she will show you guys how to date off of dating apps, how to be in the right place to find somebody who is a perfect match for you, how to have fun on dates, how to really choose somebody who will be a good partner for life, and enjoy the process to finding that person. And it is such an incredible episode. It is so aligned with everything Jonathan and I believe in and what we talk about all the time. And she just gives that extra incredible knowledge in being a professional in the field that you guys are going to love. So hop in, listen to this episode. I know you are going to absolutely love it. We are so excited to have Anna Morgenstern. She is a matchmaker. And, I find it so fascinating because in this world of predominantly dating apps, matchmaking has started to pick up a lot of steam and get a lot of buzz around it. So I had to pick Anna's mind on this. And Anna, just please introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do, kind of why you started doing this too.
Yeah, thank you. So happy to be here. Well, I lived in San Francisco before New York as an adult. When I came here, I realized most of my friends had never lived in a city outside of New York as adults, since college. And they thought dating New York was normal. I was like, this is not normal. And I just saw so many of my girlfriends that were beautiful and smart and so assertive in so many ways and so confident, but they were not confident in their dating lives. They let a lot of men treat them not well. I had one girlfriend, she had a boyfriend for 2 years who never said, I love you. And she just waited and hoped that one day. And I was like, no, this is not how we date. We are the prize. Men have fought wars for us. We need to act like we are in charge here. And it just kind of started with me setting up friends. And I had, I think 5 that got married before I did this professionally. And then I had a girlfriend that was going through something with a guy, and I was sending her paragraphs of just, don't do this, don't do that. And she's like, why don't you just put this in a little Word doc? Because you obviously are very passionate about dating and you have some advice to give. Why don't you write a little dating rules book for your friends, and that'll give you something creative to do on the side. So I started doing that. And then I got laid off from my advertising job. And at that moment, I was like, I'm really passionate about something and I just want to try. I could always go back to advertising. I had recruiters calling me the same day I got laid off. And I was like, I'm just going to try this. And I came across someone that worked at a matchmaking company, and I had an interview, and then the rest was history. And that was about 6.5 years ago.
Wow. Okay. So first question, do you remember what was on this rule book of what to do and what not to do?
Oh yeah. It was honestly, I think for women, I think they need to come from a place of, rather than, if I do this, this is going to get his reaction like this. It's not about that. It's how do women feel safe and confident in dating? It's not like, oh, don't sleep with him until this much time because then he's going to trick. It's not about that. It's when are you going to feel comfortable in this setting? If you're going to sleep with someone, then immediately be attached to them, and that's not going to be healthy for you, then you shouldn't do that. So I wanted my dating rules to kind of come from that place of self-love and what's best for you, rather than tricking a guy into liking you.
Very smart. Focus on yourself on the date, not, don't focus on the guy. So I like that.
Yeah, it's, we're so on dates, we're so concerned if someone likes us. We're not really thinking if we like them. And it's like, you want to win this first date. Well, you don't really know if you even like this person. You just want to win their like attention and affection.
True.
This is always what Jonathan and I say.
Yeah.
We sit there and we're like, but do you like the guy? Like we want to text him the right way and we want to do this. And should we get on another second date? But did you have fun on the first date? Like, did you have fun?
Mm-hmm.
And they're usually like, I mean, I could have fun. I don't know. And it's like, no, you didn't have fun.
Right.
Can't you think of
You don't want to like win the game of dating. You want to actually see if you like that person.
Exactly.
And if you want to continue getting to know them, like that's the most important thing. If you're not that interested in who they are, then it doesn't matter whether they like you or not.
Yeah, you probably didn't even learn about anything that really is important to them, any core values or the relationship they have with their families or with themselves, or, if they have addictive personality. You don't know anything about them. You probably just were focusing on yourself. Or, I always talk about like drinking and dating. Like you can have fun drinking with anyone. And I did an experiment myself last summer where I stopped drinking on first dates, and my second dates dropped significantly because I realized like, wow, like I'm not really like vibing with this person. But if I had a drink or two, I would have had a lot more fun. And it was a fun experiment that I did. And I really recommend people that are just going on a bunch of first dates and feel like they're not really going anywhere. It's like, try it sober and see if you have a different experience.
So you just say like, I'm not drinking right now and let's go to dinner instead of a drinks for first date?
Honestly, like I feel like whatever you're into, you should bring that into a first date. Like I have a couple of guy friends are really into backgammon. And like, that's a lot of...
I'll crush them all.
But like...
Tell them to go to the ATM, the checking the savings, bring the cash, I'm ready to go.
Exactly. So like on your first date, if you instead of drinking, if he was like, hey, I'm going to teach you backgammon. We're going to have so much fun playing. Like that's cute because you're seeing his personality. When you're doing something that you love or something that you're really good at, you're going to see that person in a different light. It's like, oh, wow, like they excel at something or they have passion in something. Like you light up when you're doing something you really like. So whatever that first date doesn't have to be like sitting at a bar. It could be whatever that you really like.
Okay, well, hold on. I'm going to probably agree with 99% of what you're going to say because I do find you to be very smart. I'm not so sure it's, the perfect rule is don't drink on the first date. I think it's debatable.
She's saying doing it as a test though. Like
no, I like it. I truly like it, but I don't know if it's universal.
I don't think it's universal.
I don't think it's universal. Like I get shy or nervous. So believe it or not, I do. So I think a drink and you're celebrating getting to know somebody, and you want to make things fun. I totally embraced alcohol on date one.
Yes, you did.
So I would be a fan of drinking.
I think that's why I think some people excel either way.
Your game.
Like if you are a good date either way, and alcohol is like for me, like people are gonna have a good time on a first date with me. Like I'm not shy, I'm extroverted. But I realized I was going on second, third dates with people that I really like didn't even know if I liked. I didn't really know anything about them because I was drinking through them. And I was thinking like, oh, like, yeah, I'll keep like I didn't really have a connection. Because either way, they're gonna have a good time with me,
So I'm agreeing with you now.
Yes. But
because if you can have fun, then you do whatever your heart desires.
Right. People are shyer that need a little liquid
courage. Don't drink. Like you should have fun.
Because
I chose alcohol, but you chose to just focus on the date and not alcohol. So we're both winning here.
Yes. And Jonathan and I did drink our first dates, and they're really fun memories to look back on. Mind you, we did, and I have so many questions for you, but we did talk about values. I remember our first conversation literally being about values and like family stuff. Like the first, upon sitting down, I remember partly our conversation, but then we had a few drinks, we danced a bunch, and we had a great time.
That sounds awesome.
But we made it a point to have a sober date, like date 2 and date 5.
I love that.
Yeah, we did.
One of them didn't work out to be so sober, but I love a sober date too. So like I'm with you.
Yeah, I just think if you're only drinking on dates, you can get like pretty far along with someone. And then like I've gotten like 3 months with someone and all we did was drink and have a great time together. And then I was like, oh wait, we're not actually really connected. We just have fun going out together.
So what are you looking for to be compatible with someone? Like what is it that makes people a good match?
And are you your own matchmaker or do you work for a company? Because I said...
I work for myself.
I thought you said you had an interview 6.5 years ago with a matchmaking
Yes,
company.
I'd worked at the matchmaking companies my first couple of years just to kind of get experience and learn.
Okay,
and then I kind of came up with my own way that I like to work with clients. So no, I'm just independent now.
Okay, gotcha.
And she'll tell us how that goes, and I'm so excited. So what are people looking for? What are the values and the things that make someone a good match. Because I don't think people know who they're marrying or why they're getting married. And it's a big contract to sign. So like sitting on that date, what are you looking for?
And do you specialize in the Jews, the Christians, the New Yorkers nationwide? Can you tell us a little bit about your
I work with, I have two roles with people that I'll work with. Is first, they have to want a monogamous relationship. And the second is they have to be nice to me. Honestly, that's it. So, I'm Jewish, so I tend to have more Jewish clients. But I've worked with every religion you can imagine. It's funny, my second biggest ethnic group that I've worked with are Indians. And I think Indians have similar cultures to Jews.
Yeah. And their weddings are similar, I've heard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I actually like working with people of different backgrounds because I get to learn more about them. I've had gay clients in the past, lesbian. I've really worked with everyone, but I have clients on both coasts because I'm from California. So I have clients in San Francisco, LA area, Boston, New York, Miami, basically anywhere I like to travel. And every once in a while, someone in London pops up.
Very nice. Okay. So
values.
Do you want to tell us, so tell us values first, but also just to explain it before maybe we go to what someone's looking for. We're going all the way back. Like, what does it mean to matchmake people? What would a client come and look for you? Because again, a lot of people are on dating apps these days, or they're meeting maybe organically in a bar. But I think matchmaking has so much interest and buzz, but people don't really know what it is. So how do you structure it to match people? What are you looking for when you're matching people? How does it work?
Yeah, matchmaking's been around for a very long time. It definitely looks different now than it did back in the villages in Poland. But basically, when clients come to me, they've either exhausted the dating apps and they just have so much fatigue from dating online, or they are in a place where they employ a lot of people. So matching with subordinate would not look very good. Or they're, someone of power or whatever it is, or they're looking for someone really specific and just swiping on and on the apps is not really getting them results. And honestly, when I think about it, my male clients, how much money they spend on first dates and Ubers and drinks and if they just took that money and had 6 really high quality dates, they'd probably be saving money at the end. But, I want people that come to me that have a really good idea of what they're looking for and who they are. I feel like a lot of people don't really know where they are in life or where they're going or what they really want, and that they're just not easy to match. So I always want people to really think about, okay, what does my life look like today? What will it look like in a year, 5 years? Where am I living? Is it the suburbs? Is it the city? Do I want kids? When are they going to come? Or, am I cool with her mom moving in with us? Am I going to be okay? I want them to get so specific of what life will look like or could look, what they want it to look like. Because once you even start thinking about it, this is kind of a Kabbalah thing. When you start thinking about it, you start talking about it, you're manifesting it. So I want them to even just start manifesting whether they realize it or not. They're thinking about it, they're putting it on paper, they're talking about it. And that's what's going to come to you if you really truly believe that and where you're going. I really think that you'll find that person. Mm-hmm. But if you're just I don't know, I'm open. And that's why I didn't like the dating or the matchmaking company so much, because they really wanted us to have clients that had broad preferences to make, easier to match them. And I was like, no, make my job so hard that I'm okay, I need 2 months to find this person, but I will find them. That's how I like to work with clients. Because if you say, yeah, I'm open, I'll introduce you to all these people that you're not going to really be into. Then what's the point of that?
Cool.
But yeah, I look at things lifestyle. So if someone is a non-drinker and health and wellness is number one, they wake up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym. They are not religious. Look at how they live their life. You want someone that complements that. It doesn't have to match completely. It's okay if you play tennis and he doesn't, but you have to also, you have to want to live life the same way, want to live in the same city. Maybe eventually you're gonna move to Florida. That's a dream you guys both share together. You're cool with your mom helping out with your daughter. That's something that, if he was oh, absolutely not, I don't want your parents involved, that's going to be a big issue later on. So yeah, I just look at lifestyle stuff and anything that's a core value to them, if it's religion or, wanting to have a family, how they feel about, substances, some alcohol, drugs. People talk about that all the time. Smoking, it's a big one.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And how many marriages have you thus far introduced?
Yeah, I'm getting close to 10 now.
Amazing.
Ooh, nice.
I'm going to ask about success stories. I'm excited to hear. So you're talking, and this is something Jonathan and I speak a lot about, because I don't think people know what they're looking for in marriage. And too often people date, whether it's the apps or they meet out, they have a good time because they're drinking with someone and they're just having so much fun, and they realize that they both like going to concerts. So they book a concert and they have fun at the concert, but nobody's talking about anything important in life. And then you get so close to this person that you kind of just fall into a relationship with them. And I actually think this is where like a huge part of the divorce epidemic came from, is they got 25 years down the line. They're like, wait, we don't have the same values. We don't have the same vision for life. We had fun together, but now I can't ski anymore. And we used to love skiing because I hurt my knee. And it's just what we think we're marrying, which is someone you can like have a lot of fun with and stuff, which is important, isn't a strong enough grounds for a marriage and a family and a life together. 100%. So you're looking for people who share similar values, similar visions for life. And really that's kind of it.
Yeah. I mean, and I always like try to visualize them at dinner together and like, do they look good together? Because always people have to match, like, you know, you have to have that physical attraction. That is important. But there are places where I hear people's preferences and I can't help but laugh. Like where women are like, you know, I'm 5'3" and I like to wear heels, so I don't want to date under 5'10". I'm like, when you are pregnant and you have a 1-year-old running around, you are not going to be wearing those heels.
Yes, you're right.
And that guy who is 5'8" is going to be a good husband, a good father, and you're going to let all that go because you might wear a heel once a year when you go to a wedding or a bar mitzvah or something. Like, really?
What do you do if a guy comes to you and he's like, you know, a mediocre, let's call him a 5. And and he's like, I would like a 9.5 or higher.
Oh, I always listen. Question. Matchmaking is a scale, right? So on one hand, you have like power, money. Like, what do you bring to the table? You know, it's insurance for the future, right? So there is, you know, money does play a part into it. Other side is beauty. So a lot of men that aren't as, you know, Brad Pitt, super handsome, but they can provide a really stable, beautiful, secure life for a woman. She can be very attracted to that and fall in love with, you know, someone that can provide security. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's fine. So yeah, if he is like not super handsome, but he's an amazing person, he's going to be a great father, a great husband, he has a stable job, he can date up. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I like that.
And I see that all the time.
How many people say that the mother can move in with them?
Yeah.
Jonathan's like scared
itching inside of his
honey, you have something to tell me?
You know, this is a cultural thing.
Is your mother moving in with us?
Our mothers are moving. We love you both.
Okay, so neither of you.
In Juliet's room, your mother's moving in. Massive.
All right, neither of you are Russian, because in Russian culture, the grandmas always raise the kids. And I mean, when I have a kid, my mom is getting a bedroom, whether she wants it or not.
You're Russian? So when you have children, God willing, your mother moving in?
At least for like the first year, yeah.
Oh, to help with
to help. When the kid goes to, you know.
I think we've had 2 days with them. We're like, okay, but we love them so much.
My parents live right by my sister who has 3 kids, and my mom is there almost every day helping. And I don't think my sister could do it without her. Like, I know she couldn't.
No, we thank God. We use our parents.
I've seen
and we use our parents a lot, and it's really special. So yes. So going back, we're looking at these values, and that's how you're matching them. Do you tell people to actually bring up these values on the first date? Like when you're coaching them through that first date? Because the first date's very, not delicate, but it's an interesting one, because you want to have fun, because that's important. But like, you also want to see if you are a match. And again, what I hear so often is people are going on so many first dates right now because of the apps. And they're booking out for like 3 months away because they're talking to so many people. They don't even know if they like them. They don't know if their values match. Like, it really is a huge part of the world of dating right now. So what I hear often is that they're finding that first dates are miserable now. And you don't want first dates to be miserable, but you also want to. So how would you recommend vetting somebody if we're a good match, first date, second date, whatever it is, but also making it fun?
Totally. And that's the cool part with matchmaking, is that, you know, the person that you'll be meeting already matches those values. You already think things similarly, political stances, things like that. You're going to be aligned on. You're going to know that information going into it, which is nice. So it kind of takes that pressure off on first dates. You know, you can just focus on having fun. But if you're going on a dating app date, you really don't know much. And, you know, you want to use your time wisely. So I honestly, I think the best question to ask people is, rather than like what, is why. Like why they feel a certain way, why they work in the position that they work in. And they say like, yeah, I'm really close to my family. It's like, oh, how are you close? Like, why do you feel so strongly you want to be close with them? And hopefully they'll share stories about, you know, like, my mom lost her father when she was young, so it's really close to whatever it could be. Like you'll get more information. But yeah, I mean, that's why I like doing an activity on a first date too. Like you can still have your backgammon with a drink. You don't have to do it sober.
Yeah. You're speaking his perfect date night. He wants a backgammon date night.
My wife won't play backgammon with me.
Because he's too good.
I'll play with you.
No,
okay.
Okay. Let's see. He's too good. He wins every time. And it's just not fun to lose every single time. So I'm out.
My boyfriend says the same things. I would play Rummy 500 and he loses every time.
Yeah, I lose every game to him.
Yeah.
Her boyfriend. Her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Her boyfriend loses every game.
Every game.
You two should play. So we're saying doing activities is very fun. Asking the whys.
Yeah, I like just, I want to hear stories about someone's life rather than factual information. I think anecdotal stories really provides a lot of humor and light, especially if you had something, that you've been through, like losing a parent or a sibling, or maybe, had events that happened in your life that, really shaped who you are. Having anecdotal stories about it kind of make it less kind of serious or intense. And then that's how you connect. That's how you share a vulnerable story, they share, and then you realize, oh, wow, we have so much in common. I've been through something similar, and you can connect on that. And that first date is going to be memorable. You're not going to leave being like, all right, swiping to the next one,
So it's really quality over quantity. And like time is money per se, in the sense that if you're going on a date, let's say 2 dates a week, and you're getting home late from both dates. So you're waking up the next day tired. You didn't like the dates. They're bad first dates, and you got to go on a bunch more, and your energy is being drained, and you stop liking dating. That's not really the space that you want to meet someone in. You want to be like, I'm intentionally looking for somebody who is going to be a good match for the rest of my life. So now we're past day one. I find the nuances like very interesting. Do you work with people kind of in the getting to date two and the texting and there are these funny things that just exist in the dating world? Like I had a conversation with someone recently at the Shabbat table at your house about whether or not girls should text guys, the whole idea like about next date or this. And I have my like little thoughts, or we were saying, should girls call out of nowhere? Like, what are your thoughts kind of on these little nuances of dating in the world we live in today?
I think that you always should be matching energy. So if you're putting in like 90% of the communication efforts, I would drop that back a lot. I think you just kind of match. I think you should do whatever naturally feels good to you. Because whenever you try to be like tactical or strategic, I think that comes across. And I don't know, I don't really like that kind of like game player behavior. But I also feel like if you've been on one date with someone, they don't deserve all your attention yet. Like you have to let people earn the right to get to know you and to become like a big part of your life. They don't get that after just one date. They're still basically a stranger. So, I mean, like calling out of the blue, I like that. I don't think that's bad. I think that's cute. But if they're not answering consistently, then maybe don't do that. Take a hint. I think a lot of people, they get so caught up like, oh, we had this intense connection. I really like them, And so they kind of start acting the way they wouldn't normally act, like overly communicating or being too eager, too like excited when they don't really know that person. And that can be a huge turnoff. Like that doesn't really feel good to the other person when there's too much interest too soon either.
So very cool. So it's very like true to who you are and somewhat reading the room.
Yes.
Because and by the way, I'm sure you hear this all the time, but nowadays there are rules that people follow. It's if the guy doesn't text you at this exact time before the date, you don't go on the date with him.
What rules are you talking about?
I know. I hear it from my clients and people I work with that if if a guy doesn't text by 2:00 the day of the date, you don't go on the date with him. Like if he doesn't confirm by like 2:00, so there's rules like that.
What if he confirmed by the day before?
If he confirmed by the day before, it's fine. But like if he confirms by like 3:30.
Like, hey, excited for tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I know women that they had a confirmation the day before, but the day of they didn't get one. And they're like, I'm not going on the date.
I heard a story like that. It happened to my buddy.
Really?
And then he called at 6:45, 7:00. He's like, so where should we go tonight? Like, well, I didn't hear from you all day. I made other plans and I'm pissed. And he's like, what?
Yeah.
And he was looking forward to like rekindling with this girl. I think he took her on a date in his prior, and then he was just so turned off. He was like, "Wow,"
because there's all these rules.
She's upset. I'm upset. She jumped ship. like we had a date. Like
that sounds like entitlement to me. That sounds like entitlement to me. Rather, like I tell all my female friends and clients, if you have a question, ask it. Like, why are you sitting there in anxiety? Why are you like stewing? Like you're just getting in this like storm cloud of like getting so pissed off over something that could be really innocent. And so if you have a question, just ask, and you'll have confirmation one way or another a lot sooner than waiting until you're so pissed off by the time they reach out to you. There's no way they can win.
Yep. And that's the thing is I think it's largely social media and people who, and it makes me so upset. I hear people come on and be like, you know, you're not going to like to hear this, and like they'll tell them about how if a guy doesn't text by 2:00 on the day of the date, then he's not interested. But like, that's not the case. And so then the girls watch this, and I'm sure men have theirs too. I'm targeted because I'm female for the women stuff, but there's these strict rules and then people get very emotional about it. And it's just a disaster. I am of the belief that I actually think we lost traditional ways of men courting women and women receiving the courtship, if that's how you call it, and women trying to be the man role. And it's just, I think it's a little bit of a mess, to be honest. So I like the idea of women being the receptive ones and leaning back and yes, letting the men drive the texting conversation and doing the outreach, right? That being said, you know, my conversation the other night was that he was like, no, I like it when the girl texts first all the time. She has to be the one to always text first. It shows confidence. And it's just so fascinating because I actually think that picking up a phone and just calling and straightforward asking a question is probably the most confident thing that someone could do. But I love that. Like, don't leave a question on the table.
Yeah.
Like that story is such a bummer. That sucks for everyone involved. I mean, they're fine. Like,
I think we're living in a new world. Realities change. I think that in the olden days, if we go back to Poland, like you said, a man who's in his low to mid 20s is looking for a wife and he's serious, plain and simple. I think nowadays, the kids that are the boys that are 20s, low 20s, mid 20s, they're still boys. They're not grown up yet. They're not looking for anything serious. And if a girl's 22 and she's mature and she's like looking for something real, you know, 9 out of 10 of her dates with someone her age is going to be with somebody that's like by no means like mature in adult fashion and ready to like settle down. They're just like still like a kid. So, you know, they're probably wasting a lot of time unless they get that right guy. You know, of course they exist. Or she has to date older, or just like she has to come up with a better game plan of some sort. It's tough. And there's probably a lot of frustrated 23-year-old girls going out with guys a year or two older, wondering like, why am I just like feel like I'm wasting time? Why does dating suck? It's because a lot of these 25, 26-year-old guys are just out and having fun. They're still wet behind their ears. They're still
I think they're doing that at 35, 36 too. Or 45. Like,
True.
But then there are the men who are frustrated and going on dates and feeling like people get to this point
I don't
where
know about that. I think girls are always in a more mature mindset.
You know, I disagree because I feel like I've talked to women that are in their 40s and nothing has changed for them. They still date like they're 25.
Well, the 40s, let's put them
never
in
married.
a different category.
I mean, I think that people say, I'm ready to be serious, but their lifestyle decisions do not reflect that.
So what does that mean? Like, what would a not reflected lifestyle decision look like? Because if someone says they're ready and they want it, but they're not seeing it, clearly there's something in the way. What do you see that might be in the way? Usually it's themselves and something they're doing. What is it that's in their own way?
I think when you live in a city like New York or like LA and Miami, there's so much noise, like going out, drinking, partying. There's a party here, there's a party there. Like there's just this atmosphere of like looking around. Like you go to any event, everyone's heads are like churning like 360, looking at who's coming in the door. It's crazy.
I went to an event and I saw the first girl to the last girl. I did the entire room. I wanted to use my time efficiently. If I went to a singles event, I wanted to make sure that I saw every single girl and saw who I was interested in and started my chats.
Yeah, I mean, we're always kind of looking around, but I don't know. I think there's this new age of kids coming in that are just, I mean, kids are like 30s, but that are just going out, drinking, partying. Travel is really important. They're never around. Every weekend's like, I'm going to Vegas, I'm going to Miami. Like, and if you're a woman who's like really trying to date seriously or a man that's trying to date seriously and you see that kind of behavior, that doesn't scream, I'm a serious dater, I'm looking to settle down.
Right.
That like if I meet a guy who's like, oh yeah, I went to Aspen for closing, and oh, I'm going 4th of July Montauk, and oh, I went to the F1 in Miami. I'm like, oh my God, this guy is a disaster. Like he is such an F boy. Don't want anything to do with him.
I agree.
So I think like that, like lifestyle choices like that. Also, people that just chose work or like have done so much schooling. They are, like doctors or lawyers, and they work crazy hours. Even my friend who's worked at Good Morning America as a producer, she did the morning shift, which is start at 3 a.m. And so she could never go on any dates ever because of her work. So I think people choose these kind of careers, lifestyle choices that just aren't really going to get them to where they want to go in their personal lives.
So
then sometimes they start to doubt what they truly want for their future. I have a good friend who was with a girl for a couple of years, and after they broke up, he's like, you know what? I don't even know if I want kids. I like my life. I like going to Vegas on a whim and coming back anytime I want. I like going to F1. I like being able to be the boss and do anything that I please. I don't know if I want to change my full life. Like some people, either they say that out loud or they kind of start to think it.
To question it. So if someone wants it, they are, whether they're in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, anything, and they do want to get married, but again, their actions might be doing that. Like what is actually the recipes for success to be in the right place to accept a relationship? If they feel like they are doing everything right and they're going on date after date after date after date, they're not meeting the right person. What is it that they can do to be in the right state to meet someone?
I think if you're going on so many first dates and you're not connecting with the person you're meeting, something is off there. Your target audience is not that. And I think a lot of people think they have this type and like, I see myself with this kind of person and this kind of person with this lifestyle or this job or has this much money or this kind of height. If you have like these kind of parameters in your head of who you're going to end up with that are not based in core values, which I see a lot, then yeah, you're going to have a lot of first dates that aren't going to lead to anything, and it's not going to be a deep connection. So I think first is you write out, okay, really, what am I looking for? Like, what do I bring to the table? What do I want the other person to bring to the table? Do they match? And then it's like, then you're probably dating the right audience. But if you're like, well, I want to date someone who's a tech billionaire, who's 6'4" and is 35 and goes to the gym and and it's like, well, why would he be interested in you? And I had female clients in the past that they would send me leads for guys they'd want to meet. And I'm like, I can't even date this guy. Like, you think you can date this guy? Like, there's no way in hell. And they just had this like, well, I mean, you're a matchmaker, set it up. And I'm like, if you can't get him on your own, I can't, use my magic wand and get him for you.
They'd send you an actual person and said, please set me up a date with this actual person.
Yeah.
How would you tell someone, no, you can't
You
get
would
that
reach
person?
out and say, hi, I'm a matchmaker. I have a phenomenal winner for you. Would you be interested?
If I do, like, I constantly recruit all the time. Instagram is an amazing recruiting tool. And I will, I'll follow someone and send a message and say, I'm a matchmaker, would love to chat, free to be set up with a paying client. Let me know. And then mostly people are interested if they're single and, they're trying to do something different in dating. But if they send me someone I think is inappropriate, I will tell them like, I don't really see this person being a good fit for you.
Wow. And that doesn't like hurt them.
I think they should be like shaken a little bit. Like, why do you think this is a match for you? Like, this guy, I know he's going out with the Victoria's Secret model.
Yeah. And it's why? Like, why do you want to be with that person? Probably for not real reasons to have a loving, deep connection with someone.
It's a projection. I find like men who always want to date the skinniest girl, they're like kind of big themselves. And because like whatever your insecurity is, you're going to try to find that other person that they overcome that security you have in yourself. And I see it all the time with like weight, height, with like success,
so interesting.
It is tough out there. I mean, I have to say, I was very successful in, gaining interest, but it was very tough to find somebody that like you truly feel happy with. And everybody's different. So I do think that partnering up with a professional who can really help you would be a very smart thing to do because it's tough out there.
But I
went on dates with like very nice girls, but like just weren't for me. And just, these things kept happening over and over again. It's like, it's not that easy out there. So if you have frustrated friends or clients that, are just like kind of stuck in a rut, there are ways to improve where your position is. There are ways to strengthen your mindset. But it is still tough out there.
Yeah, and it takes time, and to be patient. I think dating is a huge test on patience and trust, like
humility.
Yes, for sure. But I like what you said, that like make a list of what you're looking for. Yes. And then say that person that you're looking for wakes up and goes to the gym at 7 a.m. every day. Then maybe you should start doing that too. Like go look at your list and then you start doing them. Maybe even if you start showing up at the gym at 7, you'll meet the person who's also there at the gym at 7 or wherever.
That's smart.
Right?
Totally.
Like, whatever you want, go, first of all, do it for yourself, because why would they?
But if you're looking for that in someone else, that's something inside you that
I've never heard you say this. Did you just come up with this?
No, obviously. Are you kidding me? This
is very smart. Like if I'm looking, let's just say I was looking for, a shul goer, like somebody who's religious, like a family home, like I would start going to synagogue on Saturday morning and just like see if I meet my winner. Like, I didn't see you in synagogue.
No, I was at Mega and David, but I would go. It was so funny. I would go out Friday night till really late.
Go into the right circles. Go hang out with the right people. You said something very smart off camera.
Yeah, that I asked how you guys met, and you said that you saw her on Facebook and asked for introduction. And I tell my clients all the time, like if you see friends that are married or dating people that you really approve of, you think they're great, like you have a girlfriend and you love her husband, look at who he's connected to on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram. Make a list of like maybe 10 to 15 names. Ask your girlfriend, be like, can you just ask her husband? Any of these guys single? And maybe there's like 1 or 2 in there that he's like, oh yeah, this guy would be a good, and have them set it up. There's no harm, no foul. The guy is not going to, you're not getting rejected or anything. You're just creating more opportunities. And that way it's almost like a light version of matchmaking.
Yeah. And there's crafty ways. Like people feel so stuck on these apps, but like we're saying, gym at 7 a.m., shul, social media is like, it's like a business networking game. We actually just recorded an episode with his brother and his wife. So my sister-in-law. And she did this. She went on Facebook and he used to have an app. And I think she messaged him on his app. And like, she was just very crafty with getting a hold of him. But there's ways to do it. And I also love what you said, that like, if you know what you're looking for, and this is something I work with people a lot on, then you'll know kind of how to get it. Like if we too often go out there and like very much so in dating as well, with no idea what we're looking for, no idea why we would be looking for something. And then we get our hearts broken and we break other people's hearts. And it's just like, we're living from a place of mess rather than clarity. And if you know that I'm looking for this type of person, okay, guess what? There's ways that you can find that person. Like you can be more tactical about it. Plus, energetically, Kabbalah, when you talk about it, when you focus on it, wherever your attention goes, energy flows. So start thinking about the person who you want to be with. So I love it. It's a very cool way. Start going to the right places. Do you have other advice for people in order to like really move into the state of serious dating, like dating for marriage and finding someone, and whether it's within themselves, whether it's showing up places, whether it's on the first date, like any advice for people who are ready. They want to make it happen. They want to meet their person.
You also gave one piece of advice that I liked earlier, which was if you're a single girl and your friend has a boyfriend who's like a phenomenal guy, who's the same type of guy you would want, very nicely ask him if he has any friends.
Yeah.
Ask if somebody is like the perfect type of guy for you, see what go introduce yourself or find out who their friends are. They're probably pretty similar, at least a lot of them. And that's like a good way to start. If you want this sort of life, immerse yourself in that sort of life. And you're probably going to surround yourself with a lot of potential wins.
Totally. I feel like, birds of a feather flock together, and people love playing matchmaker. So if you're just like really honest, like, listen, like I'm having a tough time on the apps, like please, like if you have anyone that you think could be a good fit for me, or even like if you want to do a happy hour and you invite a bunch of different friends and I'll just do a little mini bachelorette kind of deal or whatever. Like, I think there's no, shame in asking, but I think when it comes to, dating more seriously, I see all the time with, clients and with friends where they're like, I'm so serious about dating, but then they'll go out and meet someone that's very inappropriate for them. And they'll still go out with them and still get disappointed when that doesn't work out with them again and again and again. I'm like, well, you're putting yourself in a position to get hurt, and this person isn't good for you, but you're still doing it because those are your patterns. So I think we all have patterns in dating. And if there's anything that you're doing that isn't working for you, like stop doing it. So dating apps are one thing, like you mentioned earlier. If you're feeling really negative about dating because you're having bad experiences on the apps, like stop doing it. They're always going to be there. You know, just because you take a break from it doesn't mean like you're going to miss out on the love of your life all of a sudden. Like anything that's giving you a bad experience, stop doing. And if you're going to the same, you know, like a perfect example, I had a girlfriend in San Diego and she was like, she's definitely serious about dating. Like she's made that very clear. She's not a big drinker. She works out. She has a good job. She does all the things. She's like, I just can't meet a good guy. I'm like, okay, well, you know, where are you going to meet guys? She's like, every guy I meet is just drinks and does drugs. I'm like, where are you going? She goes, well, I'm going to this bar and I go to that bar and this bar. I'm like, well, you're going to bars to meet guys that don't drink. That's crazy. Like, what, like your perfect guy, what is he doing on the weekend? She's like, well, maybe he plays golf or tennis or, you know, maybe he like has his dog at the dog park or maybe, you know, he's on the beach surfing or hanging out with friends. I'm like,
go buy some golf clubs and go rent a dog.
Yes. I was like, do any of those things interest you? I was like, do you have any interest in any of those things? She's like, well, I've always wanted to take tennis lessons. I'm like, go take some tennis lessons. Like, go do that. But yeah, I was like, wherever you're going to meet people and it's not working, stop going there.
So then if two girls go to a tennis club and go play for 90 minutes and then they see some really attractive guys, you know, 2 courts down, how do they get the attention of those 2 guys? Do they take a ball and just like hit it on their court and just like, oh, so sorry, and just like keep hitting a ball on their head, like aiming for them? Do they sit and wait until they get off, until they're thirsty, they come get a sip of water? It's like, hey, how you doing?
Or you find someone that works there and you say, okay, I am so embarrassed to even ask you this, but those guys down there are so cute. Do you know them? Do they come here often?
I like that.
And you just kind of like, I'm so embarrassed to even ask this, but like, they're so cute. And I feel like he was eyeing me. Like, do you think like we can make an introduction? Do they do lunch after? And then just get someone else involved. People love to play.
Fantastic idea.
Matchmaker.
Get a sweat, get off the court, and 2 girls leave their phone numbers with the front desk. Fantastic.
I always say that I go to Pilates every day and the women are so pretty. If a guy was smart, there's no men in the class, a single guy would come to my Pilates class. All the women are so beautiful. Like,
I'll just tell you a funny story. So you're both going to scream at me, especially my wife. But this was like 10 years ago, maybe longer. And I was in the gym working out Wednesday night, no plan. And I see in like this class that we had that like all these attractive girls were going in there for some sort of class. So I'm thinking, like, I got nothing to do tonight. So I'm just like, are guys allowed in this class? Yeah. So it's like me and 12 girls. I did some sort of aerobic Pilates, Shimalates or something. I had the best time ever. I think I got like one date one time. And anyways, I couldn't walk for a week. Everybody was doing these 2 pounds. I'm like, I can't do 2 pounds. I did 10. I couldn't walk for a week. It was a disaster. But I did get digits. And it's like, if this is a room that you find colorful, Go
in the colorful room.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And then we're going on the first dates. We're learning about values. We're getting to know this person. Now, how do you know that it's actually a good match? Like now we're like really starting to get to know this person as a matchmaker, kind of the idea of like, how do you know it's the one, you know?
Yeah. I don't really love the idea of like the one because I feel like that's so risky. Like, oh my gosh, like you don't meet the one, then what? You're like screwed for the rest of your life. I feel like there's different people we could end up with, you know, in our lifespans that we could fall in love with and have a beautiful story with. But I think like timing is a big part of that. So when you meet someone that wants the same things as you at the same time, I think you kind of go with it and see what happens. I mean, there's a million reasons why you could say, oh, well, what if I meet someone richer? What if I meet someone taller? What if I meet someone who's funnier? What if I meet someone who lives closer to where I grew up? There's always so many probabilities of, you know, you could meet someone different, have a different kind of outcome. But at some point, you just have to give it a go and see what happens. Because you can't predict the future. You never know. Like, you just don't know. But if you are constantly like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, then I can guarantee you're not going to get the future that you want.
So for the people who are sitting there and being like, why am I still single? Like they can't wrap their heads around it. Like, do you say that it's like, it's timing? You have to be patient. Like dating is all about timing. Or is there something you tell them that's like, this is how you get over the hump?
Yeah, I really want to know, like, how do they spend their time? Like, are they sitting at home hoping someone knocks on their door? Or are they just going to the same bar with their friends where they don't talk to anybody? Are they just, like, how are you spending your time? That's a big part of it. Also, like, is who you're looking for a realistic person that you can find? Like, I think some people don't have realistic expectations. And I don't know. I think that people a lot of times say they want to be in a relationship, but a lot of times they choose to be single because that's where they're comfortable.
Interesting.
So, like, if this is going to sound really bad, you might have to edit this out. But if a female who's not taking good care of themselves, wants Hulk Hogan and Bruce the Beefcake, you might say, "Hey, listen, you might be better off instead of sitting on the couch complaining why you don't have Hulk Hogan. Is go to the gym, work out, take good care of yourself. You'll get a good guy.
We have seen
who
that.
Takes good care of himself.
We've seen that on the other side too. Men who think they're Brad Pitt.
We'll get to that in a minute. But then also, if you're like a grumpy girl and you're just complaining and complaining, it's like, I want a happy guy, I want a fun guy, I want a great guy, but like just complaining all day, like, hey, you got to look in the mirror, you got to record yourself a little bit. Like if you're this energy, but you want that energy. If you want that energy, you got to be that energy.
Totally. Law of attraction. I really, truly believe that whatever you are, you will attract.
And same thing for guys. Okay.
Yeah, for everyone.
No, I know. But we talk about this a lot. We're like, you are no Brad Pitt, my friend. So you are not getting
exact same thing for guys.
But I say the same thing. I say you don't get what you want, you get what you are. So looking at what you are, whether it's how you spend your time, what your energy level is at, whether it's a low energy level or a high. Another way to think of it is just like whatever frequency you're at or vibration you're at is what you're going to get. So if you want a really, really, really high frequency person, you better be a really high frequency person.
Why would they be attracted to you? Like, it's crazy. I have one client, we always fight on this, but I absolutely, and please tell me if you agree with me or not, but I cannot stand self-deprecating humor. It is literally my biggest pet peeve. And he always does it on dates. And the girls be like, yeah, he's really negative. I'm like, yeah, I know. And he's like, oh, yeah, I just told her about my bad personality. And I'm just like, I want to scream at him.
But it's out of
So what do you do with a guy that needs a good shake?
Well, that's the thing is you have to be receptive to feedback. And I had a friend once tell me that feedback is a gift when I didn't want to hear it. And after that, I was like, okay, feedback is a gift. Feedback is a gift. And it's true. Like, it's hard to hear anything about yourself that you may want to change that isn't really serving you. And some people are just not open to it. And you can tell, like, that client I'm speaking of, like, he's never done therapy. When I tell him about someone, about a potential match, like, yeah, she's really into meditation, self-work. He's like so opposed to that because that's so not what he's comfortable with. And he doesn't want someone putting a mirror in front of him, I think. So, it's been baby steps, us working together where he's getting better. But yeah, some people just don't want to hear it.
And how did this all go in your own dating life? Like, did you find it easy, hard to meet people? I know you're now dating someone seriously, which is so fun, but like, how did you find this work in your own dating life?
Yeah, I mean, everything that I have talked about today, I had to tell myself too. I think it's so much easier to tell other people where they could change or improve rather than look at yourself and tell yourself. But yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I was so obsessed with like dating and relationships is because I always felt like I didn't understand why a boyfriend would break up with me. And I would be so obsessed with like reading ways of like how to get him back. And through that research, I realized, wait, did I even want him? Like, why am I so obsessed with getting him back when I wasn't happy in that relationship? And then I would kind of feel shame of how I behaved or acted. And then I would keep like, doing more self-work in that kind of regard. And then I'd be like, all right, have more compassion for myself because dating is hard. And when you're just kind of figuring out like your career, you're in a big city. I mean, New York can be the best of times, the worst of times. I've had friends do fucked up things to me. I've really like been through it. And I don't know, I think last year I went through kind of a spiritual journey where I got closer to Judaism and I kind of let go of friends that weren't serving me. And I just like really went through a rebirth of my own. And then that's when I met my boyfriend. And I feel like I had to go through a lot of things I had to go through in order to accept someone like him because he's not someone I typically would be trying to date because he's definitely not like a party guy. He's not a big drinker. He's not like spotlight, needs to have the attention, which I typically like those kind of guys. And when I talk to girls that that I work with. And they're like, I like the spotlight guy, the charismatic. I'm like, yeah, that guy is not going to settle down with anybody. He likes the attention. Why
are you looking at me?
Because you're a spotlight guy, but I wanted that. And
I love being in the shadows. Oh, I dream of being in the shadows.
Those are the hardest guys.
You're a spotlight guy.
I'm not a spotlight guy. I love being behind the couch.
That's the hardest guy to get. So congratulations to you.
So how did you guys meet? Just give us that.
He kind of hates this, but we originally met 8 years ago on Craigslist because I bought a Coachella ticket from him. And we stayed Facebook friends. Like I met him in person. I thought he was cute then, but he had no funny business. He was like, here's your ticket. All right, Venmo me. All right, see you later. I was like, all right.
I don't know if they had Venmo 8 years ago.
I don't know. Maybe I had cash or something. I don't remember. Maybe.
Are you sure about those 8 years?
It was 8 years ago because that's the last time I went to Coachella. But then we reconnected this last December and I was like recruiting for female clients. I reached out to him. He's like, wait, you look really familiar. And I was like, oh, and I realized I had his number and it was saved Zach Ticket. And I was like, oh, I remember you. And then we started dating.
Way.
Yeah.
So you reached out to him for someone else.
Yeah.
And then you swooped in.
Yeah. Well, I just like a general inquiry,
Asking for a friend.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Did you ever do it for yourself? Like in the outreach?
Actually, is that like a good trick? Like to hit on a girl and be like, I have a friend. Really?
By the
really
way,
great.
I know someone else who did that.
I know someone else who
has 2 kids now. They're together, and I'll tell you who it is after. She reached out for the other friend who's now getting married, and he was like, "Yeah, no, I want you." So that's cute.
My buddy also went after a girl, and she's like, "I'm too old for you. Why don't you take on my younger sister?" And he was like, "No, I want you." And that was I don't know if that exactly relates to the story, but
no, but I know who that is. That's so
and
cute.
then I have another friend who was so in love with this girl that they were friends. And he's like, I have the perfect guy for you. He's going to treat you so well. He's got a great heart. And she's like, great. He's like, but I'm not going to show you pictures. She said, fine. She showed up to the date and he arrived. They're married now with kids.
Oh,
okay. We have to reconvene after this and say who all these people are because I need to know. I think I know who it is. So what made this different? Because you do this for a profession. You did it. You dated yourself and now you're with someone. Like, what was it with him that was just the different ingredient?
Yeah, I think after a couple months of dating, I kind of went back to my old patterns where I was like, he was like being so consistent, wanted to see me on all weekend. I was just like, oh, too much attention. Like, what's wrong with him if he wants to see me so much? Like, I saw myself slipping back to those old toxic patterns. And he really like fought for me. And he was like, no, what are you doing? Kind of like had to shake me. Why are you acting like this? And I don't know. I had to really confront some things about myself and think like, why am I acting this? Because I'm just so used to chasing guys, like in my past relationships, that it felt weird to me to be with someone that was just openly giving me attention and affection, and I didn't have to work so hard for it. It felt wrong to me, and I don't know. I was just finally able to kind of like see clearly. I was like, wow, like I haven't had a guy like be so consistent and so just like strong with the fact that he felt strongly for me and didn't like just, stop talking to me the second I was, not behaving the way he liked. I don't know. I just realized that was special.
So you had to overcome yourself and your own fears in order to like really settle down into what was right for you. And then just lastly, like, do you have a really fun success story of somebody who it just worked out so well? I would love to hear a fun love success story.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you my very first one because I think this is like what made me want to go into matchmaking. One of my best girlfriends, she really wanted to meet a Jewish guy, and she was always dating these guys that were just not great. And I was just like, ugh. And I just took it upon myself. I was like, all right, I'm going to find a guy for you. And we had a friend that had a birthday on a Saturday, like afternoon. We're all in his apartment and we ran out of beers. So I go down to the bodega and I hear someone behind me in the line in a British accent making fun of me. I have like this stupid tattoo on my back and he was making fun of it. And I would turn around, he had a big Star of David on and he was cute. And I was like, oh, started talking to him. And I don't know what came over me. I honestly feel like it was Hashem speaking through me because all of a sudden I was like, you're meeting your future wife tonight. Go home, put on your best outfit, text me. I'll give you the address and I'll see you in like 20 minutes. And he just looks at me like, and I was like, go. And he did. He came back. He wore a little fedora. It was so cute. And then I go into the apartment. I told her, and she's like, "You're so stupid. What did you do? You're inviting a stranger." I'm like, "Go in the bathroom, fix your hair. You look like a mess." And she's like, "What?" And then, yeah, they had like a 24-hour date that night. Like they didn't go to sleep. They stayed up all night talking. And just, yeah, now they're married with a third on the way.
That is so cute. And you didn't want him for yourself that night?
I had a boyfriend of my own, and no, that didn't even occur to me. I don't know. It was crazy. Something came over me, and I was like, "You have to meet my friend."
That is so cute. Now, in the structure of like actually being a matchmaker, do you have another fun story? Because they're too fun to hear.
Yeah, my very, very first private client when I stopped working with the companies, he was a referral from someone, and he was so specific in what he wanted. He was 45 at the time, and he was 6'3", and he was Jewish, and he had a business in New York, a business in Florida, and a business in Japan. So fluent Japanese, and he really wanted someone who, A, was open to raising kids Jewish, who was cool with living in Japan part of the year, who was 5'7" or 5'8" or taller, who had at least a master's degree because everyone in his family had at least a master's. And he was like, "I kind of want her to be around 30 because I'm not ready to have kids right away. I want to date for a while. Like I'm not going to get engaged with it before dating for a couple of years." And I was like, okay, not sweating at all. And then I found him this girl, and she was 5'9", I think, master's in finance, half Japanese, half Jewish. Already lived in Japan before, spoke fluent Japanese. And she was young at the time, though. She was like 28, 29. And she's like, "Oh, he's a little bit older than I typically date." And I was like, "I know, but please meet him for a coffee. Just please meet him. You are his dream girl. I just have a feeling like you guys really need to meet each other." And she's like, "I trust you. Let's do it." And yeah, they got married.
No.
Yeah, I think they got married like last year.
I actually know a Japanese Jewish girl who's very pretty too. So
send her my way.
I will.
That's a high commodity.
That is so cute. I love it. So if you were to give just like any last advice for people who are out there looking for their person, what would that be?
Yeah, I think that our thoughts really matter. And that's where it begins. Like even with myself, when I'm at the gym and I'm like, "Oh, I could lose 2 more." I'm like, no, every time you think something negative about yourself, say 2 nice things about yourself. Because like dating is tough. It's okay to like have bad dates. You're going to feel down sometimes, but speak kindly to yourself. Tell yourself you deserve love, that you're going to find it. Be really like real about what your life is going to look like. Just manifest it. Think about it. Talk about it. Never tell your friends like, "I don't care if I get married. Maybe I won't have kids." If that's not in your heart, don't say it. And I hear it all the time, and it just like breaks my heart when people feel like, it's not going to happen for them. And if that's what you think, then it's not going to happen. So I think that's the most important thing is just to have positive thoughts.
I love that. I always tell people, like, imagine your thoughts and your words literally wrote the script of your life, like what's going to happen forward. You would not want to think what you don't want. You would think what you do want. So start thinking and talking about what you do want.
My favorite thing that you said, I was going through some of your old videos, is that if you would give someone $100 million, but they only had it for one day and they would die tomorrow, would they take it? And it's like, no, of course not. It's like you have to treat each day like it's $100 million. I love that. That was so amazing.
Thank you for reminding me about that.
Literally, I almost like made me cry when I saw that because I was like, that's so true. We don't put enough value in each day, and it's, every day could be a miracle. You never know. Like you could meet someone tomorrow and the rest of your life could change.
I love that. That's so beautiful. So please tell everybody where they can find you.
Yes. My website is just annamorgenstern.com. Instagram is also at Anna Morgenstern. And you can find me there.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. We hope you liked it as much as we did. Now go send it to someone who needs to hear it, because we know that dating, relationships, marriage can be tough, but we want to make it less tough. And remember, you're allowed to hate your husband. Whatever you're feeling is allowed. So go send it to a friend, to your sister, your brother, maybe your boyfriend, a husband, whoever needs to hear this, send it to them. And while you're at it, click the follow button, click the review button. Always feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And we're so excited to see you in our next episode.